Good afternoon once more, ladies and gentlemen, our brothers and sisters in cyberspace. This is On Point. I'm your host, Jerome Gayman, my co-host or my partner, Mr. Edward Doe is in-house. We have an hour of fun, intellectual engagement. We have elections. We have the politics of elections. We have the results. We have the interpretations of the elections. We are going to decipher the messages, the nuances. What are the Liberian people saying to us? Is this a referendum on the WIA-led government? Or is this a referendum on Liberia as a whole? Or is this a referendum on Liberia and Liberians and the politicians? Those are issues that we are going to be discussing today in depth. You are going to be well entertained. As usual, I represent the interests and policies of the government. I do not directly represent the government, but as a lover and member of the CDC party, we are here to give you the breakdown and the analysis of our policies, those that have worked, those that have not worked, and we will take on the issues as they present themselves today in Liberia. Mr. Doe, what do you have on your end?
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank Focus on Liberia for hosting this show. My name is Edward Doe. I'm an opinion columnist. I write a lot, and I'm very much involved with the politics in Liberia. Even though I do not associate myself with any political party, unlike my partner here, Mr. Gayman, who is the sponsor and also the supporter of the CDC We Are Party. He defends this government to the teeth, things that he's not supposed to defend. The defense is sometimes indefensible. Today, we're going to be talking about election results and whether it is a referendum on the We Are government. I'll start. I believe strongly that the results of the senatorial election is a referendum on the We Are government. And if you look at the breakdown of the elections, the CDC won only 2 counties. The county that CDC won are Grand Juda County, Sino County, and Maryland County, whereas the CPP won 6 counties. The county that won are Lofa County, Kidman County, Montserrat County, Bump County, McGibby County, and also River G County. The rest of the other counties were won by independents. Buffalo was won by independent, the later named by Boto. Bumming was won by some Janetta Smith, and then the PUP won McGibby. So if you look at the result of this election, CDC won only 3 counties out of maybe 9 counties, including about 12 counties. CDC won only 3, and CPP won 6, won the majority of the county. This is actually a referendum on the CDC party and also on the We Are-led government. This is a message to We Are that he's not governing right, that he is not leading right, that the country is in chaos, and that his administration is poorly governing this country. Take, for example, in Montserrat County, Senator Dillon won by a landslide, defeated T5. And this is a county that Mr. President We Are is very popular in. This is his county. If you look at some of the districts in this county, like Newtown, Claratown, these are heavily populated areas of seditions. But Darius Dillon did very well in those areas. He defeated Tifa by a landslide. This is actually a referendum. If we cannot win Montserrat County, that he once represented as senator, and that is very much popular, then he's done. I think 2023 we will have a different president in the executive mansion. Jerome, you can take over.
Mr. Doe, thank you for misrepresenting the facts. Obviously, I was just reading the press release from the international community in Monrovia. They are admonishing us, members of the government, members of the political parties, members of the media, and citizens of Liberia to not make any calls until all the ballots are tallied, until the Elections Commission can actually make an announcement to the Liberian people and to the international community as to who got what and where those votes came from, verifiable. So for now, Mr. Doe, you are speculating as you have always done. And for your information, CDC is leading in more than 4 counties. And we cannot say that we are leading or we are losing or we are winning, but we can tell you that we are winning in, not winning, we are leading in Maryland County. We are leading in Sino County. We are leading in Nimba County. We are leading in Grand Jita. So that's 5 counties right there that is assured. If it continues as it's going, statistically, we will pick up 5 seats, okay, up front. And you talk about CPP winning Magibi, that's not true. The winner in Magibi is Nukwe, and Nukwe
I didn't say that. I didn't say Magibi. I said PUP won and Magibi.
Okay, so then that takes away from your projection. But however, that is
projection.
Give me a chance here. Give me a chance. You said 6 counties that you have won, and nobody has won yet. So.
And Magibi was not part of that 6 counties.
Okay, name the 6 counties.
I said Lofa.
No, it's not Lofa, because Lofa is supported by the CDC candidate in the league, and that county cannot be called or cannot be substantiated. Excuse me, that county cannot be substantiated because
I'm looking at the website.
Listen to this.
Website, the results as of today, December 13.
Listen to this.
The website is saying that Samaka is in the lead by a landslide.
No, you are talking about Lofa. You are not talking about Bapulu. You're talking about Lofa. You're getting there. You're
confusing it. I've given you. I've said Lofa. I said Lofa. Then you jump into it, into the conversation.
No, okay, go ahead. Name your 6 county. Name your 6 county.
My 6 county is Lofa, Kitman, Montserrat County, Bond County, Bapulu.
No, not Bapulu. No,
Grand Bassa. Sorry. Grand Bassa. Grand Bassa and River G.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes.
6. Okay, great. Now, these are counties that you are leading in. I know Grand Bassa County, they have called Montserrat, they are 98%. So we can say with some certainty that those counties will go to the CPP. I remember Mr. Alexander Comey in his last speech. He said he was going for 15 for 15. That was his goal. That's what he was assured of. He said he guaranteed his party saying that he was going to go 15 for 15. So 6 out of 15 means that he's failing. But let's go to the referendum here. Let's go to the election. Let me give you some history of parties in power. Let's look at Bill Clinton in 1993. When he came to power, his midterm, he lost both houses for the first time in 50 years to Newt Gingrich and the new policy that will come into our call Contract on America or Contract with America. He lost that. That is the party that was the administration in power. Now let's move forward to Barack Obama, where he lost 227 seats in the lower house and 17 seats in the Senate. He lost both, and he called it shellacking. You remember that he said we were shellacked. So that tells you that wherever it is, this is a constant. A party, it is easier to be in the opposition. It is easier to make pledges. But when it comes to governing, they're totally different. So what I'm telling you here is to put this in context, that we are government is in power, and if the trend around the world is the same, then he's supposed to lose that particular seat.
Well,
typical example. Now, let me give you the
Gayman,
example of Liberia. I'm talking about the word, but let's bring it to Liberia. When Ellen Johnson was in power, she lost Montserrat to the opposition, which is what we have just done. Now, not only did she lose Montserrat, but she actually lost it to George Weah, the county and the senatorial seat, and many of the local seats. So this is nothing unusual. This is what happens when a party is in power and you are not living up to expectation. So if you say whether this is a referendum on George Weah, I will agree with you to some degree that that's what it is. That is evidenced by the votes. The folks are saying that George Weah needs to recalibrate. And I will give you a chance for us to agree to disagree on this particular issue of the referendum on the Weah administration.
all right, fine. And Mr. Gayman, thanks for agreeing with me that this is actually a referendum on the Weah administration. And your analogy you gave about the Bill Clinton administration and the Barack administration is false, because you can't compare apple with oranges. You are comparing an advanced democracy with a democracy that is fragile, that is trying to develop, that haven't taken a foothold yet. First and foremost, we do not have political parties, a two-system political party in Liberia that you can compare that with the Barack administration or the Clinton administration. That's the first thing. Secondly, this man, George Weah, came to power winning about 70% of the vote. 70%, never happened before in Liberia. Never, all right? The most popular president in the history of Liberia. He came to power less than 2-3 years. He's losing majority of the seats in the Senate. He has lost it. Now, if you look at the 6 counties that CPP won or is winning, according to the website for NEC as of today, those candidates are in a huge lead. There is no way your CDC can catch up with those candidates. It's a win for CPP. All right, it's a win. All NEC has to do now is just come and announce it. And almost 98% of the vote has been counted. All right, go to the website and see the total amount of votes that have been counted.
Mr. Doe.
Wait, let me land. Hold on a second. So you cannot, discredit the 6 counties that CPP won already. Now, coming to Clint Cummings. Cummings made a projection that they're going to win 15 out of 15. All right, that was a projection. Projection doesn't mean that it's going to happen. That's a probability. So, but at least if they won 6 out of 15, that's a good standing. Now, what was CDC projection? CDC projection was that no way that DeLong was going to win Montserrat County. No way. In fact, let me land. In fact, your party here, Molu said that if DeLong wins Montserrat County, he's going to resign. I'm waiting for Molu to resign.
Okay.
Secondly, wait, let me finish. Akaris Gray said that if DeLong wins Montserrat County, he also will resign. He will step aside from the seat that he holds in the House of Representatives. I'm also waiting for him to do that. So CDC is a referendum on CDC and on Weah. Weah have lost his popularity. I don't think he can gain it. Whatever he does now moving forward, he doesn't have the ability to gain it at all. He doesn't have it. I'll let you go.
Mr. Doe, for the first time, I'm going to tell you that at one point you were on point. On this particular, you are off point, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I'm a social scientist, you are a number person. So your credibility is taking a hit when you said Joe, we are won by 70%. I'm looking at the vote here, Joe, we are won by 60.1%. So I don't know where you're getting these numbers from.
That was an approximation. That was a.
Come on. Listen, man. Listen.
Not too far.
Mr. Doe, I want to hold your feet to the fire here. Now you said it was 70%, it wasn't 70%. So now you say it was a projection and all of that. You want to split hair in politics before splitting hair. You want to split hair. So you off point, but let's go from there. Now you're talking about Molu saying that if Dylan win Monserrat, he was going to resign, which is factual. That's what he said on the recording. Also, equally so, Dylan said he was going to beat Tifala by no less than 300,000 votes. What is the vote margin between now him and like you say, is 90%? We are talking about 107 to 67 or 68,000. The difference here is 38, 39,000 votes. So that is far from the 300,000 votes that he said he was going to get. So what we are saying here is these are politicians, they talk political talk. Now let's look at the facts. Should Molu resign? I, as an unabashed supporter of the CDC party, will agree 100%. It has nothing to do with him personally. It is just that a report card shows that he did not do well. And wherever it is, if you're on the soccer pitch, on the basketball team, on the football team, you can be the best coach ever. And your record consistently shows that you cannot get the job done. They just have to let you go. So yes, Molu has to go, whether he played that report, that recording that you are referring to, whether he said that or not, it does not matter. Molu has to go because he performed in this particular election, under his stewardship. He underperformed, and any managerial person, any top management will actually ask him to leave. He has no choice. So with that, if you said that, I would have agreed with you if he said that the top has to go because he underperformed. That's fine. We should not hold him because he said it on tape. He just did not perform, and he has to go. It's time for new management. That is factual. Same thing refers to the President Weir. President Weir has ministries and agencies under his auspices, and he has to go and do his background check and make the report card. And most of those agencies that are not, they have to go. This morning, I don't know if you were listening to Prince Johnson. I was kind of scanning social media and cyberspace to see what was happening. And listen, Johnson, he gave a social gospel. And this you will not like, because when this administration began, they said that Joe Weir was going to be a travelist. He was going to fill his administration with people from Grand Crew and Crew people. Today, that didn't happen. So this is what Prince Johnson came up with. He says he read out 30 ministries and agencies, and he called their names and their affiliation and their counter-sectional relations. And he says, the country is being run by sectionalists, not travelers anymore, sectionalists. He says sectionalism is going on. He says, every ministry, the 30, they are all from the Southeast. And he is appealing that we need to recalibrate, that the government should be sectionally balanced. While I respect Mr. Johnson and many of those who are saying this, when I'm looking at the resumes, I don't look at counties where they come from, what tribe they are from, what dialect they speak. I am looking at the quality of folks that can perform based on what is on their resume. Provable record, what it is that they bring to the table. So I disagree with my partner here that for the first time he is saying we should relegate it. Okay, let's say Mr. Doe here is from the Southeast. If he had a credential that proved that he can do the job, we say, well, Mr. Doe, we cannot hire you anymore because you're from the Southeast. I don't think that is fair. But on the other hand, he said maybe we should put in place, like the Americans did, like a quota system. Honestly, ask these people where they come from and bite the bullet. Make some hard choices and say, listen, we have too many folks from the Southeast. Maybe 25% should come from the North. 25% should come from the central and 25% should come from the south, which I disagree with. But he says it's a compromise. Politics is not about calculation that we do. He thinks that would bring some geographic balance. And the deadweights, those who are bringing the president down, that are not performing, should leave. And I agree with those people have to leave. All those ministers and agency directors that are not performing have to go. There is no if or ends. But the replacement should not, in my own estimation, the replacement should not be based on quota system. Go ahead.
Mr. Gayman, I totally agree with you that the sectionalism should be balanced. I totally agree with you. But if we wants to appoint, that's his call. If you want to hire people from a specific section of the country, he should hire quality. I'm not so care about whether they're balanced or whatsoever, but if they are performing, that's fine with me. As long as they are performing and we're getting the results that the desired results to move the country forward, that's okay with me. The fact that Mr. Johnson listened to Mr. Johnson's sermon this morning, and you want to introduce or interject that there's sectionalism going on in the country, it has been going on for years. The fact of the matter here is that we want quality people in government, qualified people in government, people that can do the work, people that can perform. We don't want the nepotism or favoritism in government. We want people, actual people. So if does not have the actual people, the people with the qualification to do the work, and that is bringing down his government, that is making his government to underperform, that has been shown in this election, that the people are not happy with the led government, that his governance is poor, that he must do something. Since he became president, he has not done a reshuffle. Not a reshuffle, not at all. He must come to his heels and do at least one or two reshuffle before 2023. Let's see what we can reshuffle in terms of reassessing, reevaluating his government to see their performance and move people around or remove people. For instance, I believe totally that Samatua has to go. He is not performing. He is not performing. I'm a finance guy. Samatua is a finance guy. I don't see the performance. I look at his budget. I don't see that. I don't see the discipline in his budget. I don't see anything that is worthwhile that Samatua is bringing to the table for Liberian people. He must go. He has served his time too long. He has served his time too long. He got to go. Bring somebody that can do the work, that can give the hard numbers, tell them the truth about the finance and what they need to do. It must not be based on favoritism. It must not be based on friendship. So the fact of the matter here is that you try again to defend the indefensible. You are totally off point when you try to defend the indefensible, Mr. Gayman. So I'll let you take this one and see what you can do with that.
Well, Mr. Doe, I would like to disagree with you because I would have preferred by now, Mr. Doe, as a normal person, you will have given me some indicators why TOE is not performing, and we will have gone from there. But from a guy who has numbers,
let's say about the budget.
No, budget is not numbers, man. Come on.
I can give you the numbers when I
please. Thank you. Give me numbers. Now let me go to the meat of these issues here. When Prince Johnson talked about geographical balance, we are talking about, as a manager myself, what Joe Weah needs. He needs a good and separate quality control department who is not loyal to him, is not loyal to the party, is not loyal to individual, but loyal to the Liberian people. A department that is going to go from agency to agency and actually rate them quarterly or monthly to see how are we doing in these different departments. How is the agriculture department doing? Are they living up to their standard? Are they listening? Are they doing those things that they were supposed to do? Are we going to commerce which is one of the worst managed ministries in the country, where we don't have price stabilization. People are paying for merchandise across the bridge different, and you go to a red light, and the prices are all over the place. So we need that particular ministry, a real good manager to be a commerce, to stabilize the economy. You're talking about finance. Finance is okay. When the people are talking about who is feeling the pinch of this government, the Liberian people come directly from commerce. When people can charge for merchandise or produce any price they want, it is bad. Price stabilization will do Georgia a lot of good. So that particular ministry needs some good managers. I'm talking about strong managers. I agree that the president needs to do an inventory, and those dead weights have to go. We are not only talking about ministers. We are not only talking about directors. We are talking about deputies, assistants. We are talking about even the ticket guy, the guy who is offering tickets on the street. The corruption has to be kept in check. We are talking about national security issues here. Okay, I see that the international community gave them high mark on security and all of those things. But there are things that are happening that we need to address that are giving the government bad marks. And I'll give you two before I turn it over to you. One is for the NSA to have not come up with some explanation as to the death of those three auditors. One of those auditors that died in a car accident, we know I was speeding, people saw it happen. What happened to the two folks that died in the car?
Mr. Gayman, you're getting off topic.
No, I'm not. We are talking about not performing. We are talking about not performing that gives the perception that nothing is happening. And the two agencies that are bringing the government down is the NSA and the Department of Commerce. The Ministry of Commerce has direct impact on the people. The prices of food, the basic commodities of life. We talk about food. I cannot go across the bridge and buy a cup of rice for $10, and then my cousin down a red light is paying $30 for a cup of rice. That's a direct impact, and the president should know that these things are, like you said, they are indefensible.
Mr. Gayman, you are totally off point. You know, when you say that the president should increase our bureaucracy by creating another department that will manage or run the government, you know, that's a different budget you create in there now, you know, taxpayers' money. You got to have a new set of people that you're going to hire to run that department. So you're off point.
Mr. Gayman, to a point.
Mr. Gayman?
No, to a point, 1 minute, a point of correction. When I'm saying quality control, every department where I work, every department has their own internal control.
Well, you didn't say it that way. You didn't say it that way.
No, listen to that. I'm saying the president needs a strong quality control, okay?
Well, you didn't say it that way.
Listen, if that means that he will have a team, let's say a team of experts whose job is to make sure, listen, if you are losing millions because of ineffectiveness, I would rather spend $1 million to save 10 million. But we are bleeding.
You're eating into my time now. You know, well, thank you for correcting that, but yet still, you are still off point. First and foremost, let me ask you, Mr. Gayman, thus we are re-evaluating himself. Does the president look at himself? You know, the president needs to take a good look at himself, evaluate himself, assess himself. When last did the president have a meeting with his ministers? And in that meeting, what did you gather from that meeting? Is the president serious about having meetings consistently with his ministers? No, all those things are not going on. All those things are lacking. So it's the president himself that is the problem. And to tell you the fact, Mr. Gayman, Mr. Weah is not up to this job. He's not up to the job. He does not fit the bill to do this kind of tax that is required from a president. He's not ready for this job. He was never ready for it. He was never prepared for it. He has not learned on the job, and he's not learning still. You know, so regardless if Mr. Weah hire the experts, regardless if Mr. Weah do the inventory control within each department, still yet nothing will go on right because the buck stops with him. He does not understand the function of a president. He does not understand his role. He does not understand what it means to be a president. He does not understand what it means to be a leader. Mr. Weah has never held an administrative position in his life. This is his first administrative position. So for him not to be able to do this job in 3 years of his presidency, almost 3 years of his presidency, that tells me, and should tell every Liberian, that Mr. Weah cannot do any more better than what he's doing right now. He cannot.
Thank you very much for this observation. A few weeks ago, we were here talking about the elections in the United States, and most of the folks on the liberal end of the spectrum were saying the exact things you were saying about President Trump is not the right man for the job. He's not qualified for the job. He never held political office. This is why he's blundering, and they gloss over all the good things that Trump has done for this country. So it's normal. We agree with you. When you are losing, okay? When you are losing, people say anything they want to say. Do you know that the president has a press addressing the nation today at 7 o'clock Liberian time? Do you know that?
Yes, I know that.
Okay, the whole world is on edge. We are going to see what the president is going to do. The president has heard the Liberian people loud and clear. I and those of us who support the president, we don't have any direct link to the president. Don't let anybody fool you. We won't tell you that. We are not that important. We are not that in his cabinet, but we have means of getting our information across. And we are saying to those partisans and those friends of ours who were hired in the government because they have worked so hard and they have been loyal to this government. 3 years of being in power is enough for you guys to give way to those people who are actually qualified, ready to do the job, and they do not have to come from the opposition. CDC has enough brain power to fill those positions, and those who are going in to fill those positions should be loyal enough, patriotic enough to not repeat what the folks did in the Ellen government. That you leave from the United States and go to Liberia, and you are requesting a government that is almost bankrupt to give you resettlement packages that make no sense. People are talking about for you to relocate to your own home where you were born and reared and live as a professional here. If you can't pay your own way to go home and get a job, you want the administration to ship all your stuff, get you homes, get you 3-6 months allowance, give you 7 months pay in advance. That is not patriotism. Those who are willing to go on the ground to do the work should go and work because they want to make a difference.
I'm going to eat into your time too because you ate into my time. Mr. Gayman, you are off point again. Now let me ask you a simple question, Mr. Gayman. When Simon, you remember the comment that Simon Tower made that the budget produced a surplus?
Yes.
And let me give you a little background. Don't you know that the budget that Simon Tower was referring to was a budget based on contingency revenue?
Of course. With Liberia's whole budget from 1847 has always been contingency.
Okay. So how does a contingency budget produce a surplus?
A contingency budget reduce a surplus when you
reduce.
No, produce. I'm talking about produce.
Yes.
We are talking about our domestic revenue projection, okay, compared to our foreign, like you say, we have been this non-producing, consuming economy for over 200 years. So you know the projection better than I do. we are looking at pledges made from the international community based on our own domestic revenue, and we can tell whether we have a deficit. We know this, and you know that. Well, we can have a surplus. Surplus doesn't mean we have money wasting to spend, like most people that I have listened to how the president has. A friend of mine called from the opposition the week before the election that the folks at water and sewer were not being paid and they were going on strike. And how can Samuel Tour says we have a surplus and it cannot get paid? And he didn't even know that water and sewer is an autonomous agency that pays its own agencies out of their own revenue. He didn't even know that. He thought that everybody at water and sewer works for the government. So you see, people are conflicting. So this is why you are off point, because you guys do not understand the structure of the Liberian budget. You don't understand it.
No,
you are off point. This is strong point, and you are off point. I just want to bring you back into the middle. Now get back into your screen. Now you're in the middle. There you go. There you go.
You do not understand budget. You know, if you prepare a budget, okay, and especially a Liberian government budget that is fixed, okay. You can't just go in the middle of the budget and change things around, alter it. It's fixed. And you didn't do anything about your spending habits. And you have a contingent revenues. Your revenue is contingency. It's based on certain things before you can get that money. All right? But your expense habits did not change. It stayed the same. It's fixed. You know, there is no way that contingent revenue will produce a surplus against expenses that are high, like our Liberia expense. We have salaries and all that stuff, high salaries, high perks. So when Mr. Chue says that the budget produced a surplus that is based on contingent revenues, you know, I'm baffled. I'm baffled because the fact of the matter here is that there is no way such a budget, Liberian budget, will produce the kind of surplus that Mr. Twe was speaking about. In fact, historically, our budget never produced a surplus. The Liberian budget. During the early government, it was short for all the time. So suddenly, Mr. Twe, first budget, he said he produced a surplus. That's a lie. That's a lie.
Mr. Doe, you are off point. For somebody who say you into numbers, you surprise me. Because when you are doing budget, the surplus comes when
I'm talking about
excuse me.
Contingent revenue is different.
Listen.
Contingent revenue.
I'm about to pin you to the floor. I'm about to pin you to the floor for the 3 count.
What is contingent revenue?
Listen to this.
You're not understanding.
Listen to this. A budget. Okay, let's look at a budget. A surplus occurs when our expenditure is less than our income. Okay, the difference is a surplus.
Don't lecture me on that.
I'm lecturing you. I'm lecturing you because for the first time in the Liberian history, our domestic spending.
What is contingent revenue? Contingent revenue.
All budgets are contingency.
No.
All budgets are.
No.
It's based on projection.
If all budget is contingency.
Yes.
If all budget is contingency.
If you look at the trend,
if you look at the trend of Liberian budget,
listen to this.
If you look at the trend of Liberian budget, it has never produced a surplus.
Listen to this.
Listen
to this. Do you think Liberia budget of little over 500, 600 million, you think we have that $600 million sitting in the bank somewhere? No. It is based on projection on taxes we're going to collect. It is based on gifts and largesse and grants that are given to the government. When we put all that together and our expenditure is less than our income, we have a surplus.
If it's based on tax revenues, it's not contingent because you look at it. No, you're looking at the history of the trend, how many tax you cut, you collect to base your budget on that revenue. All right, they're not contingent. You're looking at historical revenue to base your tax you're going to collect. So don't tell me you don't understand what it's called contingency revenue.
Listen, Mr. Doe.
All right, let's move on to the next because
obviously you're getting your budgetary issues mixed up. Now let's go to the next issue here. Let's talk about or the next 3 years, you as an opposition, if you were called and said, well, let's listen to what the president is going to say. The president may say, I have listened to the Liberian people that we need to do X, Y, Z. And the president calls you and say, Mr. Opposition, Mr. Edward Doe, where in government should we begin? Should we cut? And if we cut, how do we deal with this so we can produce something that our people can feel? Where will you begin?
Well, the first thing I would tell the president is to take a strong look at salaries. Salaries. Salaries is a very high cost to the Liberian budget.
Sure.
About over 50% of our budget is spent on salaries.
68%, that's correct.
All right, so therefore, we need to take a look at that and see where we can reduce, where we can cut costs in salaries. Now, our government did salary harmonization. Where did it take us? You see what I'm talking about, Samuel 12 failures that he needs to go? Salary harmonization, where did it take us? Nowhere. So we need to look at salaries strongly and see where we can make those costs, the cuts. Okay. Another area we need to take a look at is perks, government perks. Government perks. Those are expenses that are not mandatory. They need to go. The perks need to go so that we can save some money. We can look for ways to, cost saving money, in our budget. Another area we need to take a look at would be the government, spending habits. These luxury vehicles that government purchase for ministers, lawyers, and all that stuff, it need to be cut off. It need to stop. So those are the three major areas that we can take a look at and cut those costs in those areas, free up some money, so that we can be able to take some of that money and put in healthcare, which is very in need, put in education, which is very demanding, and put it in transportation also, infrastructure also, all right? So those are some of the areas we need to cut salary, the perks, and government foolish spending. Some of those spendings are unnecessary.
Listen to this. I'm going to give you an example of what you were talking about. If we want to talk about Liberia, how the basic structure of the country is complete garbage when you're looking at it from the management standpoint, governmental standpoint, leadership standpoint. Now, first of all, most of these salaries you are talking about, they are embedded in our laws. So for some of these things to happen, it has to go through both houses of the government to reduce salary. Let's say you wanted to reduce salary and you propose that salary should not be more than maybe 40% of the budget. That has to be legislative. Do we have the legislative guts for the people who are making all this money to say, I will reduce my own pay? They are fighting even the referendum, the tenure, that we are talking a reduction of tenure, which would say, for instance, if you were paying a senator $200,000-$300,000 a year, and we are cutting down the senator tenure from 9 to 7. If we're paying you $250,000 a year, we are saving in 2 years $500,000 that will go back to the government budget. We are looking at representatives. We are saving a year of their stuff, which is also another $200,000. So when we are talking about major salary reduction, that's it. So the CPP, I thought, with their knowledge or perceived knowledge of management, I thought they would have been one of the first to say, Darius Dillon, out of our CPP, because remember in the Senate, CDC has only 4 representatives in the Senate. 30 senators, we got only 4. The rest are all up, well, not up where they are. If you're outside the government, If you're outside the ruling party, you are opposition. Okay? So they do have the power to say, for instance, I was shocked during a debate between Darrell Dillon and T5. Darrell Dillon was asked, you said you were not going to accept a $50,000 car when you came to power. What happened to the car that they gave you? He told a lie. He said the car was bequeathed to me. That car belonged to Geraldine and they gave it to me. It was already budgeted for. And we dug deeper and found out that that's not how it works. The government in Liberia has a rotten policy that when they are buying cars for the agencies and the ministry, they buy it in the name of the minister or the senator. And when the senator leaves the house, fired, like these guys who are leaving, the car is in their name, the bill of sale, the title belongs to them. They walk away with that. You talk about millions and millions of dollars being spent. So these guys who are talking about reduction in spending, you think they will get to the meat of this and say, these are the areas we need to attack. These are the areas we need to address. I didn't know that cars were being bought in representative and senators' name. I didn't know until just this week that all of those vehicles you see on the streets do not belong to the government per se. It belongs to the representatives, and it's something that I've never heard of in this country. The representatives, they have a car that they drive and then have it parked after work. They use their own car.
Mr.
So where
Gayman,
in the world do you see this? And
Mr.
it's been there, it has to change.
Mr. Gayman, you are on point on that the senators' extravagance, salary and perks should go. But let me ask you this question, Mr. Gayman, when we talk about salary reduction. Don't the president have executive orders power?
No, not over legislation, not something that is codified by law. They can't do that. The thing is that the people wrote themselves into these laws. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the president still have executive power to do certain things that he can do. All you need to do, look for loopholes in the law and issue an executive power. And this is where people like Mr. McGill, Lieutenant McGill, should help Mr. Weir. Look at some of the laws, that he can use as a loophole to issue executive order. Mr. Weir, wait. Mr. Weir, since Mr. Weir have come into power, he has never used an executive order. And there were several times he would have used executive order, especially when Dillon was talking about the salary and reduction. Mr. Weir, the people around McGill, they don't do research. They need to look at the law and say, okay, there's some loophole here. We're gonna issue an executive order. What Mr. Weir did was he reduced, I think, his portion of his salary somewhat, or he made a pronouncement about reducing a portion of his salary. That's inadequate. That is not how our government works. Go to the law, look for loopholes in the law.
Mr. Doe.
And use your power.
Mr. Doe, this is how it works. And I think that you are transferring your aggression on the wrong folks. McGill is basically, he's the executive secretary that keeps the president's appointments and what goes to him. What you are talking about is it falls in the lap of Mr. Bernard. Bernard is the legal advisor to the president. So Archibald Bernard.
And McGill is the chief of staff for the president.
He's the chief
of staff. He can work in that direction too. He can bring that to the legal team.
You are transferring. He cannot go over there and usurp the power of the legal counsel. The legal counsel is when the president is about to make a pronouncement or make policy, his job is telling that this is illegal, it's unconstitutional. You can't do that.
I gave you that, Mr. Gayman. Yes.
Yeah. So what I'm saying here, why we agree that everything is on the table, everybody is on the table. What I'm flabbergasted about is that we have Emmanuel Shaw, who is an economic advisor to the president. We got Archibald Bernard, that is a legal advisor to the president. Then we have something that the quasi-prime minister, which is Mr. Bright, okay, who has unlimited power. These people, we have to bring them all on the table and say, listen, this, when you talk about shuffle, nobody have ever called, nobody have ever called Archibald Banner's name. Nobody has ever called Bright's name. Nobody has ever called Shaw's name. But the opposition know that these guys have the power. Instead, they are concentrating on Toye and McGill. And those two people have absolutely very limited power to do these things you are talking about. Because when we're talking about overturning, because guess what now? The old order, people that call themselves elites, they codify some of these laws to protect themselves. They thought they were always going to be in power. Now that they are not, and the bottom is now at the top, now they are complaining that they are making too much money. I didn't hear this in the Ellen government when they had all the so-called Monrovia elites in government. When billions and billions and billions were coming, I didn't hear anybody say that when people are making $30,000, $40,000 a month, something astronomical. But because they were in power, nobody saw any of this. I agree with you. What I disagree with you on, what I think you are off point here, is that I agree, and I'm on point, by saying that everybody should be on the table. Everybody should be on the table. I'm talking about everybody.
Where did I say some people should be off the table?
No, because you never mentioned Shaw, you never mentioned Bernard, you never mentioned Bright. The only two need to keep mentioning
I said I did not call names specifically, in terms of people that work with the government in the background as consultants or contractors. What I'm saying that we need to take an evaluation of himself, of his entire government. So it definitely include consultants, contractors, those that work in the background, those are not in the front office that works in the background. They're also part of the evaluation. So don't tell me saying that you are on point and I'm off point. I think you are off point because I brought this to your attention. And furthermore, you're not on point with me because you agree with me. Most time you are on the other side agreeing with the government. I'm surprised that you agree with me that we needs to do an evaluation of his entire government and of himself. So that's good. That's good. You're on point with me.
Well, we are making, what I want people to understand here is that while we are on opposite side of the issue, we are all Liberians and we want what is best for Liberia. Okay, the Liberian people are saying, during one of the show in one of the markets that we have built, the lady said, my son, we love our president. I will vote for him again. She said, but this time I'm not voting in this particular election because look at my market. People are not buying. I'm not selling anything. So what you and I are talking about, we may be on opposite side, but we are still Liberians. And what affects Liberians affects us. We may be here.
But Mr. Gayman,
right.
Mr. Gayman,
yes.
I'm kind of surprised. Well, you see, I told you I was going to, corner you on this show today because I'm kind of surprised that you are saying now you are with the opposition, that you agree with the opposition that this government has failed, that this government needs to reevaluate itself, that this government needs to reassess itself. So definitely you agree with the opposition. You agree with Darius DeLong when Darius DeLong criticizes government. You agree with, what's his name? This other guy, representative in the House, always criticizing the government. I can't think of his name right off here, Yeke. You agree with Yeke Koluba, when you criticize the government, So these are critiques of the government that you finally agree with. I'm happy you are on board.
No.
Don't use the premise.
You shouldn't. This is
we are all Liberians.
No, listen
so
to this.
Therefore,
listen to this. That's a small screen. Because first of all, I, as an opposition, if I was an opposition, okay, I would come and criticize and give an alternative. But I would not tell you that you're spending too much. Take the $50,000 car, drive it around, Take the $20,000 health, how do you call it, health administration, health benefit, you take and put it in your pocket. You take another $10,000, they call it agricultural break, and you come to the United States. I don't know why they do that. So all of these things, you cannot only talk about it. Now listen to this, Grand Bassa County. The senator for Grand Bassa County, Nyobli Kanga, is in the opposition. She went home and admitted to the folks that for 8 years, I agree, I did nothing for you. But I'm the only woman in there, and I'm going to reevaluate myself, and I'm going to do something this time. So here we are. Government includes opposition. If Nyobli Kanga did absolutely nothing for her people in her district, Yeka Koluba has not done anything for his people in his district. He has not been able to cross over to work with his colleagues to bring appropriation to his area. That is not criticism. That is a failure on the part of the opposition, who are out there looking for a means of looking for an excuse to do absolutely nothing and say, don't hold me to anything because the president is not doing anything. That's what I'm seeing.
That is not what the opposition is saying. They should not be accountable. Come back, yeah, I know you will.
But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's not what the opposition is saying, that they're not accountable, you know. I'm just surprised that finally we are on the same page, that you agree that the opposition is doing a great work, that this government need to reevaluate itself,
yes,
and reassess itself.
That's correct.
And from this current election result, the referendum is clear that this government either moving forward, they need to reevaluate and do something, very soon. Otherwise, 2023 will be you will be a one-term president.
But listen to this. Like I say, if you are a Liberian, and we all should have this. And this is the problem that I have with opposition. The opposition, the bloc does not want to agree that they are part of the problem, because there are more opposition in government in both houses than there are the ruling party. So why is it that they have not coalesced around each other with an idea? Other than the only time they did it was when it's time for them to win position. But they have not coalesced around themselves to say, this is what we're going to do as an alternative to the present policy in healthcare, in education, in maritime. Nothing at all. When you look at, let me use
Mr. Gayman, I gotta interrupt you a second. Mr. Gayman, let me interrupt. I just got a copy of the president's speech. This president's speech that he's going to give tonight. I just got a copy. My son sent me a copy in Liberia, so I have it.
It's available to the press. I got a copy here. It's available to the press.
I'm going to read a portion of this. The speech, for our audience. Let me find a good portion that the president starts up with his speech. He said, the 2020 midterm elections and by-elections for members of the national legislature, as well as a referendum on certain proposed constitutional amendments, are now over. The National Election Commission has begun to publish provisional results. The final results are expected to be announced shortly. But with the voting now over, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate the Liberian people for the calm, mature, and peaceful manner in which they exercise their democratic franchise at the various polls throughout the voting process. I would also like to thank the security forces of Liberia, who, through their vigilance, discipline, and professionalism, ensure that there was a peaceful and conducive atmosphere for these elections to take place, and that the freedom and rights of all our citizens were guaranteed and protected both during the campaign rallies and polling days. Now, I'm going to jump and skip to some of the main ingredients. Now, he starts off this paragraph. As president of Liberia, I extend my personal congratulations to prospective winners and express the hope that as they join the governance structures of this country, in their respective legislative capacities. They will only well represent the hopes and aspirations of various constituencies, but they will all work collectively in the best interest of the Liberian people. Let me jump to one main aspect of it. Yeah. He didn't say anything good. That's it. It's lean, it's full. I mean, there's no something about he reevaluating himself, reassessing himself. What is this president about? What is this president about? What is he about? This your president, Mr. Gayman. You always defend this man. You expected this man to reevaluate and reassess himself. He didn't say anything of that nature yet.
The election is not over. You just heard what the president said. Campaigning is over. Once these people are certified and they join the government, okay, they have to collectively, and you guys are missing this, what the president just said. You are not coming to the legislative body here to represent yourself. People send you here. So that means you have to lobby on their behalf.
I anticipated the president to look at himself and say, gentlemen, this was a referendum on my administration. I'm going to reevaluate my government, reassess my government. I expected him to say this in this speech.
No, you are talking about two different speeches here. The speech that you say to your cabinet, the speech that you say in-house is not a speech you gave in public.
This is a speech, this is referendum from the people of Liberia. He's giving a speech to the people of Liberia. So therefore, you need to talk to the Liberian people and say, listen, I know I've been doing a poor job these past 3 years. So therefore, moving forward the next 3 years, I'm going to reevaluate myself and do a better job. Here, that's what I expected to see in this speech. Mr. Gayman, your president, the person you always defend is not doing the right thing.
Listen to this. You want the president, if you are telling me if you were president, that's why you have written. But what we are looking at here is we are not, this is not a policy speech. This is a political speech, okay? It is a political speech to congratulate the winners, allay the fears of our folks, that now you have sent a group of folks that you are certain and trust that they will come and lobby on your behalf to bring home the bacon. We are here and willing to work with them. That's their job. He has no power over those people.
It is a political speech. So therefore, since it's a political speech, he must address himself and his government and say, listen, we know we're doing a poor job. This was a referendum on us. He's not making any policy right there. He's not giving a policy speech. He's telling it's a political speech for the people that gave him that trust and say, you know what, we're going to give the man the next 3 years. He's probably going to do something better. He's going to change around. He has listened to us. You know, we sent a referendum out there to him through the election. So therefore, he's going to now reevaluate himself, reevaluate his team of government and all that stuff, and put the right people in place and do better moving forward for the next 3 years. I didn't hear that. You are defending the indefensible, Mr. Gayman.
Listen to this, my son, my brother, my cousin, from the Southeast. I never visited the Southeast. I'm from the Southeast. I live in the Southeast. I was born and raised in the Southeast. So I know when the folks say, the burning issue, you are a Monrovia boy. And there's nothing wrong with Monrovia folks. You love to talk stuff that don't make sense. You talk stuff that are on the periphery. You are talking, when we talk, there's a reason they call the cabinet, okay? When they say kitchen cabinet, we meet around the water cooler and do the hardest thing, which is to look at each other in the face and say, you have not done your work. You have not done your work. Thank you for what you have done for us for the past 3 years. We're bringing somebody else to do this. Those are things that those are the conversations that are going on now as we speak.
Well, Mr. Gayman, I think we're exceeded our time.
Deliver the message, and let's give him chance. Let's see what the new year brings in. The man has to, this is the midway point. January 22nd, I think, going to be the midway point to George Weah's turn. We are looking forward to a reshuffle. We are looking forward to a reshuffle. We are demanding, supporters of the government, we are demanding a reshuffle. We are not saying reshuffle means you go to the opposition and bring them. We are talking about qualified people that will produce. We don't care where they come from. And CDC has a lot of them, millions of them. Look through them, evaluate them, do the background check, bring them on, and give them an authority. Give them a timeline and say, we have this here, this is what we expect, this is your expectation, this is your timeline. And then we need to do the quality control. Are these people meeting their objectives? If not, then they have to go too, until you get the right folks.
Do you think, before we close, do you think this WIA administration have the capability to recruit talent? I don't think so. No, because let me tell you why. Well, let me tell you why I don't believe that they have the capability to recruit talent. Because first and foremost, those people in the government, like McGill, he's a chief of staff. He's supposed to be doing the recruiting. All right, he's not. He does not even have the prerequisite to evaluate a resume. He doesn't even know what to look for in a resume. You know, so they don't have the capacity, the ability to recruit talent. And we have seen it in all the undertakings. You know, in all the undertakings, they haven't recruited the proper talent.
Mr. Doe, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to not. You were not already on point. I'm just going to kick you way off. First of all, it is not McGill's job. It's not his responsibility to recruit talent. That's why we have GSA there. We have GSA. GSA's job.
We're talking about cabinet ministers there. I'm talking about cabinet ministers there that go through the chief of staff and those kind of things. You make recommendations. You evaluate the resume. I'm talking about senior managers. I'm not talking about middle managers.
But listen, the point here is every leader needs great managers, okay? We do not have, from what I can see, we do not have enough of them. We have people with lots of degrees, but with no practical experience on the job to do the work. Typical example was our brother that was over at the health issue there during the
Mr. Gayman, so can we do our closing argument, please? Can we do our closing argument?
We are not talking about degrees. We are talking about practical experience. We got people with degrees all over the place with no practical experience to prove that they can get a job done. Great. So we need managers, real manager proof. We need people that can be proven. We're talking about leaders, manager with experience that we can look at and say, this man have managed a business before. We are not talking about Coca-Cola or Pepsi where they have a structure already that everybody will succeed. We are talking about folks who have actually managed. So those are the folks that he needs to look at. Those that were benefiting because they have worked for the party and they brought this party to power. We understand that 3 years is enough. It's time for the technocrats to come in and take this president over the finish line. That is my suggestion, President.
All right, so I would assume that was your closing argument because I think we're up to time now. Let me give my closing argument. I strongly believe that this election, the results was a referendum on the WIA administration. And if WIA does not reevaluate himself, his government, and reassess, I don't think that he's going to survive in 2023 election. And I don't see WIA that he has the capability to do that reassessment and reevaluation of himself and his government. And as a matter of fact, I don't also see that he has the personnel to do that in his government. So we're gonna get the same old. And reading from his speech that I just received that he's gonna give tonight, he never made mention of that he's gonna reevaluate himself and reevaluate his government, his managers. So I don't expect him to do that at all. We're gonna have the same people in the same place doing the same thing. And it's so sad that Liberia voted for this popular guy and now he's going to be in office for 6 years, and we're going to have the same old governance that we had for the past 3 years, and perhaps it'll be worse. So I'll end there. Mr. Gayman, you want to close it up?
Well, thank you very much for Focus on Liberia for hosting our show. Thank you very much for the first time that we talk something of some substantial stuff across the board. It has nothing to do with partisan. It has nothing to do with demographics. We are talking about the issues here. Campaigning is over. It's time to govern. Liberians need to come together and look at the good things that they have done, like the roads, like the schools, the rehabilitation of the different schools, the market buildings, and the particular letter today from the international community thanking this administration for conducting a free and fair and a more transparent election, which is a great start in the right direction. Those are good things. Now we need to look at those things that have affected our people. The American man said we can chew gum and walk at the same time. We want to be able to build the roads, build the schools, give the scholarship. In the same time, we should be able to do price control. Let the average person feel that it belongs to this country, and that either by building the road, at least it will trickle down to them. While we are waiting for the road, we still have to eat. So we are asking the president to look at the good and the bad and the ugly and bring in some new folks to carry us over the line. We trust the president has that capability to do so, because I heard snippets of the conversation he had with the cabinet at his resort. And someone told me it was so hot that most of the ministers could not sit. And they were shocked that the president had that within him. I trust he's going to reshuffle. And those people who are only concentrating on Toa and McGill, I think they are wrong. I think everybody from the bottom to the top should be up for dismissal and rehired. That's how I would have done it. I will fire everybody and you reapply and tell us why we should rehire you. That would have been my suggestion. That would be my approach, because this referendum says that we have not done very well. So everybody will be let go and everybody reapply and tell us why we should rehire you. So thank you very much for talking to me. Let's go out there and listen to the president. Let's look at the delivery of the speech and let's see whether he will follow through. Thank you very much. And
Mr. Gayman, send a letter to the president, give him that suggestion that he should fire everybody and rehire them.
Yes, I'm going to do so. And see, that's my management style. I fire everybody and you reapply and tell me why we should
send a letter to the president. You have access to him, send a letter to him.
We do so, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And God bless. And I'll see you next Sunday.
Okay, then. See you on point.
We are